I posted a reel on Instagram about 2 days ago. I was driving my truck to go kickbox. It was 8 a.m. I'd probably woken up at, I think I woke up at 5 this day. I was like ready to go. Did my morning routine. It's one of those mornings where I woke up and I just like, I initially had energy as soon as I got out of bed, right? I hydrated, got some work done, did a Bible study. Like I was ready to go. I get to the gym and I just felt this on my mind. And the best thing to do when you have a coaching business is create a video as soon as you have an idea, right? As soon as you have the idea, the time between the idea and when the video gets executed usually equals the success of the video. So I immediately made it, and I was talking about the identity that it takes to be successful. And it got like 80,000 views. It's been like 3 days. It got like 80,000 views. And I probably saw like 10 or 15 different comments of people being like, so fake it till you make it. Got it. And I'm like, that's not what I meant at all. Basically, the gist of the video was I've figured out the cheat code. I was like, for those of you guys who don't know, I'm 21 years old. I've got a Ferrari. I've got a Lamborghini, or had a Lamborghini Urus, my dream car. I've got a TRX, right? I have all these things. Apartment in Miami. My business does about $300,000 to $400,000 a month. We're on track to do $1 million a month by the end of the year. All these things. I was like, and the biggest lesson that I've learned is that none of this matters. All that matters is the identity that you create for yourself. And I went on to explain basically the number one principle that has gotten me to where I am today at this young age and continues to allow me to be successful. And that is the principle of becoming the person that you want to be before you get there through your habits by creating that identity. So you might be like, what are you talking about? So imagine this. You have to be able to separate your desire for the outcome without losing sight of the outcome. And this gets into some pretty difficult mental topics, but if you can master this, you can apply this to your life and you can make tons of money for the rest of your life. This is literally the most important thing I've done over the past 2.5 years that have got me to the position that I'm at today. You know, from working at Jersey Mike's 3 years ago when I was friggin' 18 years old, right? When I wanted to start changing my life, when I wanted to start making progress, at first I just did it because like I wanted the nice car. I wanted to make a lot of money. I wanted to, have all of these things. But I realized I would lack consistency. And I would find myself, and I would find myself doing things and I'd be like, where's the passion? I was like, where's this like me just getting lost in the work? I couldn't figure it out. And I realized I only work so that I can get a specific outcome. And I was like, that's why I'm inconsistent. Because if I'm only working to get a specific outcome, if I don't have that specific outcome within 2 or 3 weeks, I lose my consistency. And I was like, so that means I'm not actually becoming the person who is worthy of these things that I want. I'm not actually becoming the person who, in theory, would have those things. I'm just doing those actions in order to get the reward. But the trick is, the version of you that you want to be, the version of you that's making $100,000 a month, the version of you that lives in a luxury apartment, a high rise, that can provide for your family, that buys a $3 million house, that buys your dream car, that version of you has become a new identity. He doesn't just wake up early to get the car. He wakes up early because that's now a part of his life. It's a part of him building the vision, and it's a part of him becoming a better human being. Therefore, he gets the car as a byproduct of who he has become. And once I grasped this and I fully understood this, it's not about faking it till you make it. It's not about being like, I'm going to wake up and act like I'm a millionaire so I become a millionaire. That's not it. But 1,000%, if you don't have millionaire habits, you're never going to become a millionaire. I'm not saying you have to wake up early. to become a millionaire. But every young man that I know, there's not a single young man that I know who has become successful in financially and also in other areas of his life that it hasn't started with the gym. Living in Miami, I'll be the first to tell you, there's a lot of guys who are financially successful, but they're not personal developed in other areas. They can barely hold a conversation. They barely know how to have any, their body language is terrible. They can't do anything but the one skill that they've mastered. But everyone that I know who has mastered fitness in some way, shape, or form, even if they're not like looking like a bodybuilder, they've become extremely personal developed. The problem is most guys who do that, they put all of their time, energy, and attention into the gym instead of putting their time, energy, and attention into who they are as a person and letting the byproduct be the gym, the way they carry themselves, the way they speak, the skills that they have, and the money that they make. You have to have all of these things accumulative, right? So when I wanted to become a new person, when I was 18 and I had the version of John Mark that I am now in my head, $60,000 watch, $500,000 car, all of these things that I wanted to become, I thought about what would that version of him do? And I was like, I think he would wake up at 4:25 in the morning, right? Now, I don't wake up at 4 a.m. right now. Right now I'm waking up at about 5:30 every morning. But I genuinely believed, I was like, that version of me will wake up early. And that was something that was really hard for me at the time. So why did I start waking up at 4:25 every single morning? It's not because I was like, I'm going to wake up at 4:25 so I can get a Lamborghini. I was like, the version of me who's the most successful and the most personally developed wakes up at 4 a.m. So I'm going to build that habit. And so every morning that I woke up at 4 a.m., I started to vote yes towards this version of me that I had created in my head. Now, what's the trick? I had to write down who I wanted to become, how I wanted to carry myself, how I wanted to think morally, where I wanted to live, what I wanted to drive, what color I wanted it to be, what network I wanted to have, how I wanted people to view me, right? How I wanted to speak, how I wanted to dress, how I wanted to act, how I wanted to think publicly. All these things I had to understand in order to have a mental picture of where I wanted to go. But then I was able to start creating a framework of what would this man do? What would this version of me here do? Here's an example that I like to say, because what that allowed me to do was it allowed me to detach from the success, but still do the things that got me the success. And I'm going to give a little bit of a controversial take, and this might sound weird, but the guys that have the most successful relationships, they still do all the actions that allows their relationship to grow. Interesting. Not sure what that was. They still do all of the actions that allows their The guys that have the most successful relationships, they still do all of the actions that allows the relationship to grow, but they don't have this counteracting thought mechanism in their head of like, oh, we can't break up. We can't break up. We can't break up. That's not even a thought in their mind anymore. If it doesn't happen, if we break up, I don't want us to, but, it's all right. And if we stay together, I hope we do, But they do all of the actions that vote yes towards what they want to do. So with me, I remember saying, when I was in the trenches, before I figured out that online coaching was the best way to make money, as a young man, like there's literally no better opportunity, especially right now in 2025, with online coaching. Before I figured that out, before I made $500,000 as a fitness coach from my physique, selling $3,000-$5,000 fitness coaching programs, I had this little Amazon business that I was trying to start. And I remember like very, very vividly, as I was working on that business, I felt so hopeless. I felt like this despair inside of me because I was like, I don't know if this is going to work. But I remember I was in my 2006 Acura, what I used to make all of my aggression talks in, and I was driving the car. I can still remember like the ripped leather seats that I had. My knees were squished up against the dash. The thing had a really good AC though. I did like that about it. And what I had this little, I couldn't even play music on it. I was always embarrassed because like if I were to go on a date with a girl, I would get in the car and it would be like, waiting for pairing. And it was like this little Bluetooth plug-in thing that I put in there, and it was static until I connected to the right frequency on my Bluetooth, and then it would play music, but there'd be a little static in the background. Like, I remember that thing. That was I was like, man, I can't wait till I have a car where I have normal speakers. Like, that was a huge insecurity for me, right? But I remember that was playing this little like podcast. I think it was like a Patrick Bet-David podcast. And I was driving under this bridge. I was driving home from a job. I used to work TaskRabbit, and I would drive Uber Uber Eats. And then I would also I worked at a like a fine dining restaurant as a server, and I would just like hustle around Atlanta to make all this money to fund my businesses. And that's why I don't feel bad for people who say they're broke, bro. You can make $10,000 a month just hustling, right? But that's a story for another day. And I was driving, and I saw this guy, and he was homeless. And I remember looking and like envisioning myself in that position. And I was like, you know what? Now is the best time for me to start. I was like, because what I'm doing right now, I don't feel like it's working, but I'm willing to dedicate 5 years. 5 years. I was like, shit, I'll even dedicate 10, but I'm willing to dedicate 5 years to trying to build this business, even if I don't see any outcome, because worst case scenario, I become homeless, which there's really no scenario that happened, because all I had was like a $1,400 a month apartment that I was going to have to pay for. And I was like, I can, if any job, unless I'm just a lazy dickhead, you know, any job will get me there, right? And as long as I don't get addicted to drugs or something like that. But I was completely sober, wasn't drinking, wasn't doing drugs, any of that, waking up early every single day, really, really personal developed. And I was like, I have no wife, I have no kids, I have no one relying on me. So this is the best time to go all in. And I remember being willing. I was like, even if I go homeless and have to sleep under a bridge, I won't be dead. I won't be dead. So therefore, I was like, as long as I'm not dead, I'm willing to do whatever it takes in order to become successful with this business. And once I did that, I realized the beauty is in playing the game. And once you find beauty in playing the game, once you find beauty in the progression, once you find beauty in the work ethic, you can start to detach from the outcome and attach to the journey. And when you attach to the journey, you actually become the identity of whoever you want to become. If you want to be worth $10 million by the time you're 22, you have to have a vision of who that man is. And you don't work for the $10 million. You work to become that version of you so that you can acquire the $10 million. Because if you work for the $10 million, it's not going to happen. And by the way, these are all principles that I teach every single one of the coaches inside of my program, 100X Mindset, right? Like, everything we do is based on psychology, is based on shaping your brain into who is actually going to be the successful version of you. And it's the same thing, the same way that I help my guys gain clients and market, right? You have to understand the psychology behind how people buy, what reels to post, what YouTube videos to post, how to set up your funnel, right? Based on your niche, exactly what messaging to speak about, how to attract your ICP, how to take your story, the pain points you've been through, and actually create an offer that is not commoditized, and it's something that people want based on all these things, right? So these principles that I learned throughout my journey, becoming a fitness coach, making money, and now having, you know, some of the most elite coaches in the game that have bought from me and learned from me, they're all rooted in my story, right? So I'm not just speaking this for no reason. This has been proven over and over and over again. One of my clients texted me this morning. His name's Peter. You can go on my Instagram and you can search up his Instagram as well. He joined in January with the money that he was going to pay his rent with, went in debt. It's August 22nd, so since January, he's made $400,000 in my program. $400,000. He made $107,000 profit last month from his fitness coaching business, right? Because he's been able to embody this, right? But back to what I was talking about. I was willing to go 5 years with no result, and because of that, I got it faster because I started to obsess with, am I becoming the man? 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 I released the desire for the reward. I knew what I wanted, but I released it, and I only focused on becoming the man who was capable of having that. Therefore, I was able to just put in the work so that I could grasp the thing. It's the same point I was just trying to make earlier with the most successful relationships. If you are so focused on, I gotta stay in a relationship with this girl, she's the only girl, I have to have this, you're gonna end up losing it because you're changing who you are based on the fact that you want to be in the relationship with them and not just because you love them, right? If you're only working in order to become a millionaire, it's very, very hard when times get tough for you to keep up those habits, because the version of you who's gonna be a millionaire, the version of you who's making $100,000 a month 3 months from now, he doesn't wake up to make the 100K a month. He wakes up because that's who he is. So if you fully feel like waking up early or posting 3 videos a day or whatever it is, I'm just using the waking up early as a placeholder for whatever you feel like the version of you who's successful will be doing. If you only do those things for 3 weeks, and then the second you get tired, the second you haven't seen any progress, you quit, that means you haven't become the person. Because the version of you in 3 months is making $100,000 a month. He doesn't wake up early because of the $100,000 a month. He wakes up early because that's who he is. So even if the money's not coming in, he's still waking up. And that is why the money comes in, right? Money's a lagging indicator. It comes on the back of you putting in effort. But if you just put in effort for the money, you're not attracting the money. It's like if you go out on a date. If you go out on a date with a girl, and this heavily applies to your content as well. If you go out on a date with a girl who's like a 7, right? Let's say she's a 7. And any of you guys who have been in this situation know exactly what I'm talking about. You're not tripping about what your hair looks like. You're not tripping about like, I was sweating in the car. You're not tripping about like, I gotta open the door for her. Everything just comes naturally and it's smooth. Why? Because you're not tripping about the outcome. She's cool, she's pretty, but it's whatever. Do my thing. And that's when you have the most swag, right? But you go on a date with an 11 out of 10 and you make up in your mind, I have to date this girl. I have to date. You're gonna be overthinking what you say. You're gonna be, tripping over her heels when you're trying to go open the door for her. You're gonna look corny. You're gonna end up doing something that's not you in order to try and get her to date you or like you, and therefore she ends up not liking you because you're trying to perform in something that's not you. You can pull any girl. Doesn't matter what you look like if you have confidence and if you can act the way that you truly are. It's the same thing with money. You can make any amount of money as long as you're consistent, you show up every day, you know exactly where you want to go, you are honest with yourself about all the things right now that are keeping you from getting there, and you're able to change those things and become the version of you that's going to make that money. If you can execute on that, there is no limit to how much money you can make, but you cannot do it just for the outcome. You have to change your identity, right? This is the entire principle that has allowed so many young guys like me to make a bunch of money online. You have to understand that the magic lies in the identity. Stop obsessing over the perfect morning routine and obsess over the routine that the version of you who's making $1 million would do. Stop obsessing about Alex Hormozi's new book and start obsessing about how you can be the most authentic version of yourself, show up in your content personally developed, and hold yourself accountable every single day. The biggest cheat code to this is once you become a new identity, understand that to build a personal brand, to monetize it, to build a coaching business, all you have to do is document the ideas that happen on a daily basis, right? The best way to look at this is to think about an idea or a video. Every time I say idea, think video concept, right? Every time you have a video concept, it is feeling versus principle. Let's say you're a real estate coach, right? And every day, you know that you need to be cold calling 100 leads. Or let's just say you're a real estate agent. You need to be cold calling 100 leads every day, and then you're going to document this on your Instagram, right? When you wake up and you're like, I don't want to cold call. I don't want to cold call, right? You think in your head, oh, I don't have an idea for today's video, but that is the idea. The feeling is, I don't want people telling me no, I'm tired, I would just like to sit here and dream about my success. The principle is the fact that you committed to making 100 cold calls every single day. So whatever you're feeling in the midst of that, pick up your camera and document it. Guys, it's just another one of those days that I've got 100 leads that I need to be calling, right? And I know there could be 3 yeses in this that make me $10,000, but right now, my brain is just not caring about the money. I just want to go to sleep. I just want to watch Netflix. I just want to go out, but this is what separates me. You talk about the feelings that are happening, weighing them against the principle, and then you act on the principle. There, you show yourself operating to the standard that you've held yourself to, and everyone else realizes, wow, he's in the position I want to be in. Not because he's not human and he doesn't have feelings like me. He just has a operating procedure or a unique mechanism that allows him to make the decision that serves what he's trying to do. That's where you separate yourself. Same thing as a fitness coach. You got home after a long day. You want to just get takeout, but instead you know you need to have your meal prep. Feeling versus principle. And you document that. Once you've become this new identity, this is the cheat code to making millions of dollars from your personal brand as a coach. But this is what most of you guys don't accept. You're looking for the next funnel trick, or where's a DM setter, or where's my VSL to set up. That's not where the magic lies. The magic lies in the identity. I promise you guys. And if you want to see this real time, scroll all the way down to my aggression talks, where I used to wake up at 4 in the morning, shirtless, go to the gym, do cardio, sit in my car and just rant my personal ideas. That is living proof of building your personal brand, you becoming an identity, and then documenting feelings versus action. And if you can execute on this, I'm the only person in this space that gives out the free value that I give out. But most of you guys, because you haven't become the identity first, you're not able to execute on it, or you're just looking for an easy trick. And I'm telling you, no easy tricks got me to where I am now. I promise. Every single one of you can do it. There is zero limit to where you can go, how much money you can make. But you have to first become the identity. I love you guys. I'm going to go to sleep. Wake up tomorrow at 5 a.m. Let's get after it. I got a bunch more of these coming for you. Subscribe. Shoot me a DM on Instagram. I answer all of my DMs. And click the first link in the description if you're looking to scale your coaching business and you want to see the systems that we have that have helped a ton of our clients scale to $10, $30, $50, even $100,000 a month with their coaching business. We're the best in the game. I love you, boys. I'll see you soon.